Make our citizens aware of what is taking place, and there will be no questions because we are continuing to investigate. We will have an updated briefing at 11. We'll be at police headquarters. If that changes, we will let you know, and for 3 p.m. And with that, we will get our group behind us to assemble. As I said, we will have 3 to 4 of our leaders speaking. We won't be able to take questions because we are still actively investigating this situation. And with that, we will bring our group out to get assembled. So let's get in position for where you are.
All right, so we just got an update
we're expecting to hear from multiple law enforcement. Will not be taking any questions from the media after.
In the event that you have just joined us, we are awaiting the start of a press conference. Mayor Cantrell, Chief Ann Kirkpatrick, members of the FBI, as well as the state police, to give a briefing. They won't take any questions right now, but this will be the first of several briefings today regarding this incident. We're just outside the 8th District Police Station downtown. I also see Colin Arnold from the Office of Emergency Preparedness. I see the... Here we go. We're going to get started.
Our unified command, leading with our mayor, and Mayor LaToya Cantrell will start with her remarks.
Thank you.
Okay, just give us just a little space, ladies and gentlemen.
Thank you. Good morning. First of all, we do know that the city of New Orleans was impacted by a terrorist attack. It's all still under investigation. You'll hear more after me. However, I have been in direct contact with the White House, with Governor Landry, and of course a unified command who is present here. What I'm asking at this time are prayers for those who have lost their lives in the city of New Orleans due to this tragedy. In addition to that, I'm asking the public to stay clear of 8 blocks around Bourbon Street. Stay clear from Bourbon Street, 8 blocks around. Very active, and again, a unified command is in place right now. I'm going to ask Chief Kirkpatrick to give you an update. You're then going to hear from our agent in charge relative to the FBI. So at this time, Chief Kirkpatrick.
Thank you. All right. Good morning, everyone. So I'm going to give you as much of the information I possibly can. We are going to give you an update a couple of times today. So we will give you just the basics this morning, all right? We had this event started at about 3:15. It did involve a man driving a pickup truck down Bourbon Street at a very fast pace, and it was very intentional behavior. This man was trying to run over as many people as he possibly could. It was not a DUI situation. This is a more complex and more serious based on the information we have right now. With respect to numbers, we have right now, and as you already know, this could change throughout the day. We do know that there are 26 injured people who are at UMC Hospital. We know we have 4 at Turo, 4 at Ochsner Baptist, 1 at Tulane, but even as I was walking out the door, I believe I have an unconfirmed additional people who have been taken to other area hospitals, possibly on the east side. But we will give you as many correct numbers as we can as the day progresses. It is a very tragic situation for me to tell you that we know we have 10 people that this man killed on Bourbon Street. That is why we do not want anyone on Bourbon Street today. Wherever you see yellow tape, please do not violate this tape. This is in order to protect and stabilize the scene. We have information to a certain degree of the demographics of those who are in the hospital right now. We do not know at this point how many could be tourists versus locals, but from the information I have right now, it seems the majority are locals versus tourists. What I also can tell you is that this man, this perpetrator, he fired on our officers from his vehicle when he crashed his vehicle. 2 of our officers have been shot. They are stable, and we will give you an update on them. I have yet been able to go to the hospital. I will be leaving here for us to go visit our officers. We have called in every officer that we have. We have so much appreciated our partnerships who have also offered us staff. Last night, we had over 300 officers out here. And because of the intentional mindset of this perpetrator who went around our barricades in order to conduct this, he was hell-bent on creating the carnage and the damage that he did. Because of the nature and the indices that we have on the scene, and we have enough information that the FBI will be taking over this investigation. And with that, I am going to be asking, this is the assistant agent in charge, this is Agent Duncan, Special Agent Duncan, and she has taken over this case on behalf of us and the FBI.
All right, and new information since that press conference did air. Again, that was around 7 a.m. We do know the FBI is, in fact, investigating this as an act of terrorism. That was Chief Ann Kirkpatrick with the NOPD and Mayor LaToya Cantrell. Again, that was from earlier this morning. We expect another press conference around 11 a.m.
And that's going to be at the NOPD headquarters on Poydras Street. And our Mallory Smith is there standing by right now. Mallory.
Yeah, we're going to be hearing more from Ann Kirkpatrick in just a little bit. A lot of questions unanswered right now, mostly around the suspect. We're hearing unconfirmed reports. He had a Texas license plate, so we're just waiting to figure out, his motive, whether or not he was a local, like we've been talking about. This area is obviously a destination spot right now. We've got the Sugar Bowl tonight, which we're still waiting to figure out whether or not that's going to be postponed or canceled. We're also waiting to figure out just what's going to be happening the next few days. We've got a lot of big events coming up. Obviously, Super Bowl, Mardi Gras in just a couple months. So just waiting to figure out, an update on the safety down here or what's going to be going on in terms of Bourbon Street and the surrounding areas. I said earlier, the street here right now is blocked off. We're seeing more and more people driving downtown. They're obviously trying to keep people kind of away from this area, just the French Quarter mostly and Bourbon Street. But what we're waiting to figure out, whether or not this man worked alone, whether or not this was a coordinated attack, his reason behind it. We're also trying to figure out more about the victims and just the status of their injuries. So, like you guys have been saying, we're going to hear more come 11 o'clock. Ann Kirkpatrick will be here accompanied by the FBI, who's now taking over the investigation. Like you said, they've confirmed that they are now investigating this as a terrorist attack, but just waiting to figure out more about the suspect. And we'll have more of that coming up in just a little bit.
And Mallory, you're over by the NOPD headquarters. Can you tell us, what is the feeling out there? Is there a lot of people, or are people pretty much staying off the streets after what happened last night on Bourbon?
We're actually seeing a little bit of a police presence out here right now. So we're seeing quite a few officers just across the street. Like I said, the Superdome is right across from here. So they're trying to keep people away from this area. You just heard a car horn honk. So we are seeing a lot more people coming down here right now, but definitely not advised. So if you can, try to keep away from the area, especially the French Quarter, but just downtown, we are seeing more police coming here right now. So it's getting a little bit busier.
And this is typically an area in general that a lot of people frequent, and especially for New Year's Day, this is where a lot of people want to celebrate. A lot of Sugar Bowl revelers as well. Mallory, just on a personal specter, have you ever seen anything like this?
Honestly, I haven't, Amy. I haven't even, just watching even the reactions from people outside right now, and just obviously we've seen officers go in, walk into the NOPD headquarters. It's just absolutely tragic. I haven't, ever seen these streets blocked off here. I even asked the officer, why they're blocking off the street here, and they couldn't give me answers. Just trying to really keep people out of this area as much as they possibly can.
All right, our Mallory Smith reporting live from the NOPD headquarters. Mallory, we're looking forward to hearing what the NOPD, what the mayor, what the FBI has to say at that 11 a.m. press conference. We'll be catching back up with you in just a little bit.
We have some more reaction to report from you. This from Congressman Troy Carter. He has released this statement on the attack on Bourbon Street. Carter says he has spoken with the White House and will continue to receive updates. He also says, in part, quote, "My heart is with the victims, their families, and everyone who witnessed this horrific attack during what should have been a joyful New Year's celebration. New Orleans has faced adversity before and will rise again stronger and more united."
And officials continue to weigh in on the incident in the French Quarter that happened overnight. New Orleans City Council President Helena Moreno has released a statement saying, in part, quote, "This is a tragic day in the city of New Orleans. I want to send my deepest sympathies to the victims and families of those lost and injured in this horrible attack. I want to especially thank the brave NOPD officers who helped stop this suspect, and I hope for the swift recovery of the injured officers."
And if you've ever been downtown on the morning of the Sugar Bowl, the vibe there is normally exuberant.
Electric.
You've got people with their Bloody Marys walking around, starting the day at what would be normally a wonderful day. Right now, Canal Street is a very different scene this morning. Our Kenny Lopez is on Canal Forest right now. Kenny.
Hey, Kurt and Amy, and the best way to describe what's going on right now is just heartbreaking. Not the way you want to start 2025 in New Orleans, to a scene like this. Let's take a look. We're right here on the Carondelet near Bourbon and Canal Street. Canal is blocked off, Carondelet is blocked off. Huge police presence, cop cars everywhere you look, police officers up and down the street. And you know what, Kurt and Amy, one thing that is really unique, we've covered murders in New Orleans over the years, sadly, but normally you only see one, maybe two coroner trucks, and here there's already three. There's multiple coroner trucks right here. We're being told that very shortly they're going to start removing the victims' bodies onto the coroner's trucks, and right now it still is an active scene. The FBI is investigating, NOPD is investigating, and just a sad day. But a lot of people now, they're waking up, they're coming out of their hotels for the day, New Year's Day. And these are Rachel and Derek, and they're from Beaumont, Texas. We're just talking to them about what made them come down here today to take a look at this scene. So you woke up, you heard what happened. What are you guys thinking? What are you feeling right now?
It's tragic, man. We really didn't even know what happened until we pulled up and parked right down the road and seen it on the news and walked down, and we was right in the middle of it. We was here last night for New Year's, just jumped up and had a wonderful time. Everybody was having a good time. Really nice night. And to finish off the New Year's and wake up to this is just tragic. I would really like to send our condolences out to the families and the victims, and I don't know what else to say besides that.
And did you feel safe last night? I mean, there was a major police presence down here last night. Talk a little bit about what you were thinking last night while the party was going on.
Last night, whenever we got here, there was so many people, and it was awesome. I've never been to New Orleans, and just to see the diversity of people here, and everybody just having such a wonderful time, and to see something like this.
Yeah, I mean, you're tearing up right now. I hear sadness in your voice. I mean, this is heartbreaking. I mean, you're lucky that you weren't down there, you're alive, but for all those families, all those victims that weren't as lucky, I mean, what are you feeling right now?
You know, it could be any one of us, and the thought of somebody just being so heartless and not even caring for human life. It's heartbreaking.
And your message to New Orleans, I mean, this is going to take us a lot of time to, rebuild and get over this. This is major. This is not just a run-of-the-mill situation.
Not by no means. It's crazy to see how everybody's coming out and gathering around and kind of paying their respects as they kind of mosey on about their day. But we send our hearts out to y'all, and I don't know what else to say besides that.
And lots of fans, Kurt and Amy, were here for Sugar Bowl. They were here for New Year's. I mean, we're having the Super Bowl coming up very shortly. What do you guys think this is going to mean for future events here in New Orleans?
In all honesty, it don't look like it's going to slow down much. I think New Orleans is good at taking a licking and keeping on ticking, and I hope everybody keeps that same morale, and we don't let the lives that pass be forgotten, though. You know what I mean? Let's just keep our respects up and keep moving forward, I guess. Only thing we can do.
Say that line again about take a licking and keep on
ticking.
I never heard that before. That must be a Texas thing.
Maybe a little bit.
Well, thank you guys for those heartfelt answers, and we still need people like you to come back to New Orleans and not let situations like this ruin the heart and soul of New Orleans.
It won't be our last time here, and thank you.
Okay, thank you guys. Take care. Kurt and Susie, some heartfelt words from some visitors to our wonderful city. We'll continue to update you on the latest on this developing situation. Back to you guys.
One of the most important things that couple just told you is something that I think tourism workers here are going to try and impress to as many people as they can. And that is that the city will get past this, and this should not deter people or discourage people from coming here in the future. I was going to, frankly, have you ask them if they are second-guessing their decision to come here, or would second-guess a decision to come here in the future. And I think it is encouraging, certainly for city leaders, to hear that couple say, not only does the city take a licking and keep on ticking like a Timex watch, that's a reference to a commercial from the 70s or even the 50s, but that also that they will be back, and they expect the city to keep them. That's great news. Thank you, Kenny Lopez. Unbelievable turn of events. Started around 3:15 this morning. You were here. I think, in a way, from where you are, you have a unique perspective. The morning crew gets here, as I've done this. You guys get here at 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock in the morning.
Very early.
And all of a sudden, shortly after you arrive, you're just starting to gear up for your day. And I tell everybody what you heard on the police scanners, how it started.
You know, Kurt, we're looking through our rundowns, reading these stories about, the new year, bringing in the new year, and then all of a sudden you just hear on the police scanner, multiple casualties, people are screaming, and then you hear the word Bourbon Street, and when you hear that, your attention is sparked, and all you could hear is people screaming. We heard the word car plowed, and we didn't know what to make of it at that point. We heard the word gunshots. And that's when me, LBJ, our two producers, Christian and Caleb, we all just looked at each other and we said, somebody's got to go down there right now. This is big. There's a lot of yelling, a lot of screaming on the scanner right now. Something massive is happening down on Bourbon Street on New Year's Day, when we knew a ton of people would still be out there at 3 a.m. This is a big day for people to enjoy themselves. And a terrible, terrible, terrible thing to hear. Not anything that we wanted to hear either. LBJ, he's been out at the scene all morning since about 3:30. LBJ, you're at Canal.
Yeah.
What's going on?
Yeah, Canal and Royal is where we are right now. And this is probably the closest we've been able to be all morning to the incident itself. They started to allow us to get a little bit closer, but you and Kurt were talking about hearing it over the scanner, and we heard the distress. You're absolutely right. Knew that we needed to get down here, and what we found was an awful lot of activity. Okay, I mean a lot of activity of people just all over the place. All of these law enforcement vehicles every law enforcement vehicle you could imagine, Kurt, from dozens and dozens of police cars to ambulances that seem to never stop arriving. And there were not only New Orleans EMS, there were LCMC EMS, there were private companies. And as the morning wore on, we started to see ambulances actually from outside of the city of New Orleans, ambulances from St. Bernard, from Jefferson, from out in the parishes as well, which alerted us to, and mind you, at the time, we still don't have an idea of what's really going on. We know that there is a terrible event, and at this point, they've shut down Bourbon Street, so all of the Bourbon Street revelers are starting to walk out. So you're not getting folks who are really particularly close to what happened, just a lot of people that are, hey, we were having a good time and they closed Bourbon Street. Bourbon Street effectively closed now from Canal to St. Anne. As the morning wore on, those dozens and dozens of vehicles started to trickle down, but there are still many out here. In fact, over my right shoulder, you could probably see our cameraman, Pat Thomas, has been a real champ out here this morning with us, but there is still a vehicle from the Orleans Parish Coroner's Office. In fact, that is two of their vehicles down at the corner of Bourbon and Canal. I don't think, Kurt and Amy, that I have ever seen the amount of coroner's vehicles at one scene at one time ever before for anything that happened in the city of New Orleans. Quite possibly, maybe the Hard Rock collapse had that many emergency response vehicles, but this has been a bizarre morning on so many different levels, and a horrific morning for what we now know are the details of what has happened here downtown. And as we stated much earlier this morning, the entire French Quarter is a crime scene. Certainly Bourbon Street closed down. Royal Street closed down. Still a lot of law enforcement on the scene. Still a lot of law enforcement walking through the French Quarter, because that was the second part of this whole morning, or the last part that we saw from law enforcement, was them walking to storm drains and all, and that happened as a result of what the mayor revealed and what the police chief revealed and what the FBI revealed as the IED that had been found. We still don't have a specific location of where that was found or how many were found, but because of that particular element to this story, the FBI now is in charge of the investigation of this entire deal because of that. Speaking of the coroner's vehicles, there you have it. That is one just passing me right there, and that is an indication of what we're talking about. All morning long, this has gone on. So, Kurt, Amy?
And LBJ, you've got just so many hotels there that line Canal Street.
Yeah.
We're starting to see some people moving around behind you. Do you get a sense that at least some people are going on with their day are able to do that, I guess?
Yeah, I'd imagine if you're not affected by what happened, because we've gotten questions from a whole lot of folks that when they first started getting up and moving, hey, what's happening out here? What happened over there? And you tell them what happened. Whoa, what? But, you know, those are the people that weren't necessarily affected by what happened last night. Maybe they weren't on Bourbon Street. But, you know, Kurt, there were also people affected by what happened last night who were in their hotels. We actually sent some video back to the station because this is actually people leaving, or at least being able to go back to their hotels after being evacuated because of that IED situation that was found earlier. So this is like a spider with so many different legs and so many different elements. It's insane, the amount of things that happened, the amount of elements to this story this morning, this incredibly tragic story. But yes, people are moving around. Yes, people are going about their day. Yes, we're seeing fans from both Notre Dame and Georgia out and about and trying to enjoy their day as much as they possibly can. And just as you heard, or as you guys reported not long ago, there was even talk that there's a possible postponement or cancellation of the game.
In fact, that is correct. All right, we have yet to hear a final decision, if the decision has been made on the Sugar Bowl, but as you mentioned, we understand there are considerations of postponing or even canceling it. And of course, after an event like this, yeah, they're going to check the storm basins. They're going to check planter boxes. If there's one IED found, they're going to check to see if there are more and clear out essentially an 8-block area, as you well know, an 8-block area cleared out along the French Quarter.
An 8-block area that is typically very populated with a lot of people. That just tells you how big the scope of this is. They're taking this very seriously. They're trying to ensure the safety of the public right now, getting everybody out of the vicinity of what could potentially be in harm's way over there in the French Quarter. All right, LBJ, we'll check back with you in just a little bit.
We want to go to Kerrigan Chauvin right now with more. I think you've got some more, Kerrigan, on the actual footprint of this. What can you tell us? And I guess we also want to know how the weather's going to be today as well. What have you got on that?
Yeah, I got a little bit of everything for you guys. Just starting off with a view of outside. You saw LBJ, Mallory, they're all bundled up out there. It's much cooler this morning compared to what we were experiencing yesterday for New Year's Eve for the parade. Folks were out there in shorts and t-shirts yesterday. Not the case today with that front passing through. 52 degrees with that sunshine overhead for us. And we have those winds out of the northeast, 10 miles per hour. Game day happening today. Afternoon forecast, sunshine, 60 degrees for kickoff tonight. If that is still going on, 7:45 p.m. clear and cool, 52 degrees during that time frame with winds calming down for us out of the northeast at 3 miles per hour. So there has been discussion of the cancellation potentially or postponement of the All-State Sugar Bowl. Has not been confirmed if they will or will not do that, but as of now, kickoff time frame set for 7:45, and that's your game time forecast. Let's check in with the roadways now. Not only is it the manpower that they're worried about for tonight, with law enforcement using their skills for other things, but also just the mentality of the fans, the players. How do you go into a game and get riled up after a morning like this? We're seeing current traffic really slowed, put to a halt in the French Quarter. Sugar Bowl happening at Caesars Superdome for your fan traveling in from out of town. I just want to show you the proximity of all that's happened this morning to where the game is being played tonight. Not all too far from each other. Pulling up just the distance between the two. It's just over a quarter of a mile up the road here to Bourbon Street. That's where that southernmost leg of the closure is to the dome. So then walking distance. Still quite some, a little bit, some blocks in between there and there, but walking distance essentially. Northbound road closed between Canal Street and St. Anne, and then we also have Dauphine Street closed from St. Anne to Canal. All the roadway highlighted in purple here on our map are closed. You cannot pass on them. Those are our two main closures, but then there's also several other streets that you may have traveled on via foot or just walking around sightseeing in your time here in New Orleans so far. Iberville, Bienville, Conti, St. Louis, Toulouse, St. Peter. All streets included in the radius that officials are wanting you to avoid. So that official closure, Bourbon, Canal Street to St. Anne Street, with Bourbon and Dauphine being your two big ones that are closed down. Avoid the area all throughout the day today. There is pretty much no question that this investigation will be going on well into the afternoon and evening hours.
And we have some information from ABC station KTRK in Houston, Texas. You all have purchased cars, and when you buy them, often the car will have a license plate frame with the name of the dealership where that car was purchased, right? Well, KTRK in Houston is reporting that the license plate frame on that Texas plate is from a dealership in Pasadena, Texas, which means that there could in fact be a Texas connection for the suspect in this case, who we know has been shot and killed since then. We also know that while there are just talk of perhaps postponing or canceling the Sugar Bowl, we can tell you that at this point, that workers who are supposed to, some workers at least, who are going to be working that game have been told not to show up for work at this time because of the situation there. We have Ashley Hamilton. She is at UMC That is where dozens of people who were injured in this were taken, including the 2 NOPD officers who were shot. Ashley.
Yeah, good morning, Kurt. We've actually spoken to several council members and representatives, Councilman King, Councilman Thomas, and Senator Royce Duplessis actually spoke to us. Councilman Thomas tells us that he actually spoke to all of the officers who was shot, and he said the first thing that he actually asked for is, can he get a drink of Sprite? He did also mention that Chief Ann Kirkpatrick has made her way here. Also, he says that a lot of other officers made their way in to come and see the 2 officers that were shot. Councilman Thomas also says that he spoke to a couple of the family victims. He says everyone's in prayers. We can let you guys know that LCMC has told us that they're going to let the city handle things when it comes to statements, though they are asking family members of relatives that were in the area last night to call 311 just to check and see if their loved one was admitted to the hospital. We do know that 4 victims were sent to Truro, 4 victims were sent to Oxnard Baptist. At least 2 people that we know of were sent to Tulane, and at least 20 people are here right now. Not too much movement here on the ramps. As you can see, not too many people have been coming up and down, but we do have a few NOPD cars that are up there. NOPD Chief Ann Kirkpatrick says she plans to make several rounds to different hospitals just to check on some of the victims. Now let's go back to how it all started. The call came in at around 3:15 this morning. Towards the end of the New Year's celebrations, NOPD Superintendent Ann Kirkpatrick says that a man drove his pickup truck around barricades and down Bourbon Street at a high rate of speed, and that she says he was hell-bent on creating a carnage that he did. We do know that the FBI is taking over in the investigation and has discovered that at least one suspected man-made explosive device was on the scene. We do know that they're still in the canal area searching around for more. Again, the suspect was shot and killed, and he did shoot 2 officers as well, who are again in stable condition. New Orleans Mayor LaToya Cantrell is calling the New Year's Day mass casualty a terrorist attack after 10 people were killed and over 30 people were injured. Governor Jeff Landry and others have also issued a statement calling this a horrific act that took place on Bourbon Street earlier this morning. Now, this is still an active investigation. There's still no motive on what caused him to do this, but anyone that is looking for family members that were in the Bourbon area last night are asked to call 311. Kurt?
And Ashley, I think the key thing that she said in that is that if you are looking to connect with a family member or a loved one who may have been in Bourbon Street last night around 3:15 or in the French Quarter in general, contact 311. That's what you're urged to call. Thanks so much, Ashley.
And in a community that frankly relies so much on its faith, this is certainly a time when many people are turning to their faith. In fact, Archbishop Gregory Amen has just released a statement about this morning's attack. He says, quote, "Our prayers go out to those killed and injured in this morning's horrific attack on Bourbon Street. This violent attack is a sign of utter disrespect for human life. I join with others in the Roman Catholic Archdiocese of New Orleans in offering prayerful support to the victims' families. I give thanks for the heroic duty of the hundreds of law enforcement and medical personnel in the face of such evil."
And a lot of people were out there last night whenever this terrible act of terrorism did actually occur. We actually caught up with one Notre Dame fan from Michigan who was in the quarter when it all happened. Take a listen to what he had to say. Really chilling stuff, Kurt.
Late last night, and we just met. We left here about 2 a.m. So we were on the corner here. I met some friends at 11:30. I'm looking at my text. It was 11:30. I said, let's meet at the corner of Cornell and Bourbon. So,
how grateful are you to be able to get out of here an hour early?
What's that?
How grateful are you to be able to get out of there an hour early?
Yeah, very grateful. Very grateful.
Were you surprised whenever you heard all this?
Shocked, yeah, this morning. Yeah, my phone blew up this morning. Hey, are you okay? But yeah, we were out of here. I didn't see any of it. So.
Yeah. It's a shame this happened on a holiday too, man.
Yeah, it's gonna. it's going to dampen the football game tonight too. I'll tell you that.
Yeah.
So,
everybody trying to have a good time, right? Yeah. What's the worst part about this to you?
The worst part is it's just being part of it. You know, just seeing that something silly like this has to happen at a time like this. It's nonsense.
Really a senseless act there, and something important. Even if the Sugar Bowl does happen tonight, you know, we don't know officially. There's no confirmation on if it has been postponed or not. After the events that happened on Bourbon Street, it would make sense if they did have to postpone it because of all the personnel that is down in the quarter right now trying to mitigate the situation out there, Kurt. I mean, they said those improvised explosive devices. I keep going back to that because that is just so, they're having to scour the drainages and things of that nature to ensure that there are no explosive devices in the French Quarter right now. And that's something, you know, you and I'm sure we don't really think about that on a regular day-to-day basis. Are there explosive devices in the French Quarter?
Right, and this is very representative. The search for these devices will look very much like the search before, let's say, a presidential visit. The president were going to go eat, let's say, I'm just using this as an example, to eat in the French Quarter. They're going to go to every planter box. And they're going to look, they might have steel rods that they push down in the dirt to see if they hit anything in there. They'll check all of the drains.